You know, I think Kirk Hammett might be the most underrated lead guitarist in metal. People meme on him for the wah-wah, they say he's in Hetfield's shadow, or that he could never replace Mustaine. But here's the thing, none of that tells the true story. Think about it, this is the guy that wrote the bridge riff to Creeping Death as a teenager. And he was the one to write the main riff to Enter Sandman. And he delivered solos like in Master of Puppets and won. So why are there so many jokes about him? And does he really matter more than the credit he's already been given? Today we're digging into how Kirk Hammett became a part of Metallica's story, the gear and the tone that shaped his sound, and why I think his contributions should be talked about right next to guys like Dave Mustaine, Dimebag Darrell, and Randy Rhoads. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll see Kirk Hammett in a different light. So I want to take a brief aside here and thank you guys for subscribing and liking and watching all these videos. I recently hit 2,000 and I want to hit 3,000 by the end of the year. So if you're interested at all, please do subscribe to my channel. Kirk Lee Hammett was born on November 18th, 1962 in San Francisco, California. His brother was deep into the music scene and Kirk soaked it up. Musicians like Hendrix, Zeppelin, and UFO lit the fire early. At the age of 13, his parents moved him to the suburbs while his older brothers stayed in the city. Kirk missed him, and seeing him strum Dylan songs made him want to pick up the guitar. But even more importantly, he really wanted to be Jimi Hendrix. His first guitar came from the Montgomery Ward catalog, and right away he attacked it, learning riffs from Hendrix, Deep Purple, Sabbath, and UFO. He wasn't just dabbling, he was hungry to improve. So by high school he was playing in a classical trio, a background that later meshed with Metallica's classically inspired structures. And around that time he upgraded to a 78 Stratocaster. His first band, and the band that he started, was Exodus. With Paul Bailoff and Gary Holt on board, they cut a demo in 1982. This was Kirk's only recorded appearance with them. And around that time, he had picked up a new guitar rig, his first real serious one. He had gotten a 1979 Gibson Flying V and a Marshall Hashtag. And to get both of those, he had to work his ass off at Burger King. And Exodus at this time even opened up for Metallica at the old Waldorf. They became really good friends at the time, they partied a shit ton, and when Metallica moved to San Francisco, they partied even more. So Kirk, prior to Metallica, already had a relationship with the guys in the band. But life wasn't easy for him, and his dad was an abusive alcoholic who left the family when he was 17 years old. And music became an escape for him, and like James, he was serious about turning that pain into something bigger. He graduated in '82, took some college classes, and studied with Joe Satriani. Even after joining Metallica, he'd go back to Satriani with solos from the band to get some feedback. And this was Kirk Hammett. He wasn't just coasting, he was trying to improve. Then came the turning point. After Mustaine was out, he plugged in with Hetfield, Ulrich, and Burton in New Jersey to cement the lineup that would change metal forever. By then, Kirk Hammett wasn't just another guitarist chasing a dream. His tone, technique, and gear became a defining part of Metallica's sound. So let's look at the instrument and amps that defined his sound. Quick pause, if you're enjoying this deep dive into Kirk Hammett and you want to support what I'm doing here, please go check out my Patreon and my YouTube membership. For just a few bucks a month, you get early access to content, free guitar tone packs, discounts on everything in my store, your name featured in my videos, and be able to vote on the stuff that I make next. So if any of that sounds appealing to you, I have a tier that's $1.99, I have a tier that's $5.99, and I have a tier that's $10.99. So if you enjoy what I'm making and you want to support me, those are great ways to do that. And if you want to get the best tone-matched IRs in the game, please go check out ToneDeck and use my discounts below. Alright, let's get back to the video. Kirk Hammett has used a ton of guitars. Equipboard has about 100 listed, but I think he's used even more than that. He's mainly known for three shapes: the Vs, the Super Strats, and the single cuts. As everyone knows, early on, he got the 1979 Gibson Flying V, which he used on Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning. Its sharp attack and thick tone gave his solos the bite that set him apart. Later on, he would add a Jackson Randy Rhoads to his collection. I know he used it for the touring on Master of Puppets. I think he might have used it in the studio as well. And more recently, he's added custom ESP arrows that have a cool sparkle on them that's like a mixture of old and new that I think are pretty cool. Then we have the Strats and Super Strats that have always been a part of his sound, and I think that's mainly due to his love for Jimi Hendrix. During Ride the Lightning, he picked up a Fernandez Strat he called Edna, and it gave him that singing fluid tone in his solos. In 1987, him and Hetfield both got endorsed by ESP, and they quickly got him his MM270 Super Strat, nicknamed Zorlak, and those were loaded with EMG pickups. Over the years, he's had so many different models of this Super Strat made by ESP. There's my personal favorites, the Ouija's, there's all of the horror-inspired ones like the Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein, Nosferatu, and the Mummy, which was really heavily featured in the 2000s. And again, even more recently, he has these sparkle versions of these guitars that I think are pretty sick as well. Like, I think the Ouija one looks really cool. And yes, single cuts are a key to his tone as well. Around Injustice for All, he was using a black Gibson Les Paul Custom that had EMGs in it. It said online he might have gotten it earlier, but he definitely was using it during the Injustice for All touring. ESP also made him the KH3 Spider. That's pretty, I don't know, weird looking. It has the scalloped frets, which were really big in the 80s. It also has like a weird headstock. He was trying to get like a Gibson looking headstock, and obviously ESP couldn't copy that directly. It's a weird, but I think it's a cool and iconic guitar. And then the most famous guitar that he has is the Greenie. It's the Les Paul Standard from 1959 that's been passed down through so many awesome rock guitarists. And amps have been just as important to his rig. He's used the Marshalls, he used the Mark IIc+, he's also experimented with diesels, rectifiers, and he has his own custom Randall KH head. Each amp gave him new tonal options, helping him push the solos and riffs we all recognize. Then there's the wah pedal. Yes, I know it is a meme at this point, but it's still very important to his sound. And Kirk doesn't use it for show, which I think a lot of people don't understand. He writes the solos first and then adds the wah in after as a additive, I guess. I know it's really overly done these days, but it started out with a really good philosophy. And he uses the wah pedal to bring alive what he hears in his mind. Like, I guess he hears like the notes with all these accents on it, and the wah like just helps him define that on an album. The first time he heard a wah pedal was on Thin Lizzy's Warriors, and he started using it, as we all know, prominently on the Black Album, but it was used on the other albums. It was just more in the background. Whether you love it or hate it, the wah helps him stand out instantly. They make his solos unmistakable. And that's a perfect example of who Kirk is. He doesn't seem to care what other people think. What I love about Kirk Hammett is that he's always been his own person. In Some Kind of Monster, you can see that he's always the calm and diplomatic one of the band. And in the biography Enter Night, you realize he's always had to be that person. Always caught between the two stronger personalities in the band. Even with all the wah-wah pedal hate that he gets these days, he doesn't really care, and he just continues to do his own thing. And that independence shows up in his playing. His solos are always a mix of speed and melody, never flash and always just trying to service the song. Sure, guys like Mustaine or Dimebag could do that too, but Kirk's feel sets him apart. He can blaze through a fast run when needed, or write single lines that stick in your head. Even the opening solos on One, Fade to Black, or Welcome Home, they might be really simple, but they service the songs. And that's what makes them hit so hard. What gets even more overlooked are his riffs. He wrote the bridge to Creeping Death as a teenager for Exodus. He also wrote the main riff for Enter Sandman. Yeah, it was rearranged by Lars, but he came up with the main idea for it. And that's not even to mention parts in Master of Puppets, Trapped Under Ice, and plenty more. When he brings something to a Metallica album, it usually matters. And the most underrated thing about him is night after night, he stands right next to James Hetfield, the greatest rhythm guitarist in metal, and locks in with him. And that's no small thing. Kirk Hammett is an important guitarist in the metal scene. Sure, he leans on the wah more than people like, but what stands out to me is how much his playing has moved me. From the haunting intro of Fade to Black to the fire in Creeping Death, his solos always serve the song and add that spark only he could bring. And what I love the most is he's never tried to be anyone else. He's carved out his own voice that's instantly recognizable. And to me, that's what makes him belong alongside Mustaine, Dimebag, and Rhodes. And honestly, why he's my favorite lead guitarist. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I love talking about the guitarists that have shaped my journey and guitarists that I love. So in saying that, if you did enjoy this video, I think you should check out this one right here. I recently did a video on James Hetfield. He's my favorite guitarist of all time, so I wanted to make a video about how much he means to me, really, and why I think he's a very important guitarist, and look at all the cool gear that he has. So if you enjoyed this one, I think you'll enjoy that one. Again, thank you for watching. Stay metal. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.